Live from the Northeast Georgia Business RadioX studio, this is Northeast Georgia Business Radio. Welcome back, folks. Hey, I'm your host, Tom Sheldon, and we have another amazing guest on Northeast Georgia Business Radio. We are coming to you live from the beautiful Empower College and Career Center of Jackson County, and I'm very pleased to introduce, if she's ready, she might be a little nervous, folks, but I think we're beyond that. Lisa Paez from Jackson County, Certified Literate Community Program, CLCP.
You did it, Tom.
Lisa, did I get all that out right?
Woo, yes. I wish I brought my pom-poms. I am a teacher after all.
You know, I hadn't even thought about that, but I wish you had. Hey, I take it when I can get it, right?
My props.
How are you?
Use.
How
I'm
are
very good. Thank you. Thanks for making me feel comfortable and
Well, you know, we
relaxed.
try. We try.
Mm-hmm.
We want you just to talk, relax. We're just having a conversation. That's all we're doing. We just happen to have microphones.
Yes, so I thank you for that.
You're
You did make me feel
welcome.
comfortable. I am prepared, I think.
Oh, you're always prepared. Don't worry about that. Well, from this point on, once I get the intro done, boom, it's easy.
All right,
Piece of
great.
cake. You're doing a lot of important stuff here in Jackson County. That's why we have you here.
Yes, sir.
And we're lucky to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to preface everything by saying thank you. Just simple thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. It is a very rewarding job.
Well,
for
that's
real.
good. Well, that's good.
We're changing lives.
I want to know just a touch about Lisa Paez. We're going to get to all the cool stuff you're doing with CLCP. We're going to get to that. I want to know just a little bit about you. How did you end up in Jackson County?
Well, that's a funny story because we lived in beautiful South Florida
Nice.
in a wonderful area
Yeah.
right across from a polo ground, one of
Wow.
the biggest in the world,
How about that?
brand new. And the hurricanes hit in 2004, plural. And I had
Yeah.
a new baby, brand new baby.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And no power for several weeks. And so my husband was in banking and finance. And so he was left, he had to go to work, and I was left alone with a newborn baby and my husband's grandma. So as soon as the power came back on, I started researching the best place to live closest to South Florida.
Gotcha.
And ended up here in Atlanta area. It was
Gotcha.
only supposed to be for a year until we got ourselves together, but we fell in love with the people.
Still working on that year, are you?
We loved it so much. Everybody was so nice. We just knew we'd never go back.
There are a lot of good people up here.
Really friendly. So
You found your spot.
I did. We fit.
Nice. I love it. Well, hey, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here. So CLCP. Folks, we're going to say a lot of letters over the next 20 minutes or so, whatever. CLCP.
Yeah, letters that Lisa did not create herself.
You did not. But now I know who did.
Yes.
Governor Zell Miller did.
You rock, Tom. I'm so proud.
Okay, folks. Governor, I'm going to date myself. Governor Miller is the first governor I ever voted for.
I'm so glad you did. I wouldn't have a job and we wouldn't be changing lives.
That's true. Who knows where it's all because of me.
Yes.
Of
We give you all the credit.
Of course, I'll take it. Like I said, take it when you can get it. Governor Miller started this program. This is the state of Georgia, a state-run program.
It was established by the state and legitimized by the state. Then they give us quasi-free reign to be independent to the needs of each community.
Okay, now I'm ignorant. Does every county in Georgia have their? Because you answer to, I don't want to call them the mothership. I say mothership a lot because here at Business RadioX we have a mothership. The state of Georgia is the mothership, and you're beneath them, doing the work.
Yes, sir.
So you're reporting to the state.
To the Technical College System of Georgia.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Who reports
Does
to?
every county have their own individual or
They
area?
should.
They
That's
should.
a great question. They should,
don't,
yes.
obviously.
But they don't. It's not as easy as one would think being a state-endorsed program.
Well, don't you just sign up?
I wish, yes. So, yeah. So
You don't just sign up.
you don't just sign up. You say, yes, we'd love to do this. We'd love to address some kind of literacy gap or issue in our community.
Right.
But then you've got a laundry list of checks and balances in place. There's applications, there's incorporations, there no funding to get started. You have to find your own funding.
You got to prove yourself.
Yes, sir.
I kind of like that. I really do.
I think I do too.
Well, I'm not a fan of just throwing money at something to make myself feel better.
Right, or a title.
Well, that's true. That's true. No, that's true.
We did just in 2020, we went 2019, 2020 through an entire new process where we had to prove that we were still a functioning, viable, I guess, commodity to the community.
Yeah.
And or TCSG took away some of the CLCP titles.
Now, you just said a whole bunch more letters. T something.
Technical College System of Georgia.
Okay.
They kind of yanked a few CLCP
Did they really?
licenses. Yes.
So they're holding people accountable.
Yes, sir.
See, I like that too.
Me too.
I really do. Rule of thumb, individuals and even organizations, which basically are individuals, if you know you're going to be held accountable, you will get different results.
I agree.
Oftentimes better results.
I agree. They hold us to a higher standard, Tom.
I like that.
Yeah, they do.
I love that.
And what I also love, I do need to give a shout out to them because
Please
quite
do.
honestly, people think it's, again, like your mothership idea, they think it's this big organization that isn't going to look at those details.
Right.
They do, and they support us. I was brand new when I had just taken over the CLCP, this organization.
The Jackson County.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, I'd been on the board for a while, but officially our director had retired.
Right.
And it was time to renew for what we call the legacy. So all of those checks and balances, proof that we've made a difference in our community, tax filings, 990s, everything was due. And data. We had to show where our money was coming from. Why was the community, if they weren't, supporting us, why not?
Right.
What are the gaps? And that was challenging and exciting because it gave me a roadmap to what success. I didn't look at it as they are giving us ultimatums. I looked at it as a good roadmap to move forward.
Well, they're setting standards.
Indeed.
That you need to reach.
And they helped us.
That's continuity across the board.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes. And they mentored us. I'm not shy about asking for help.
Nice.
I'm very visual. I need them to hold my hand. And I'm going to ask difficult, unusual questions that really people don't think of. And I think that makes us operate better than a lot of other organizations.
I don't doubt that for a second.
You
Now,
gotta poke
how
holes.
long have you been the director? You're executive director.
I'm executive director.
How long have you been director? For about 10 years?
No, I took over in 2020.
Oh,
Right when COVID hit.
during
Yes.
COVID.
in
Lovely time for
January.
you to,
I
lovely.
know. And
But
I was
you've
brand
been on the
new.
board for about 10 years.
I had been off and on,
Okay.
not a board member, a committee member, and then a board member later. So first I started on the committees way back in
I bet you work harder on the committee than you do anywhere else. I mean, you really rolling up the sleeves.
You do.
Everyone works hard. I'm not belittling
No, you're
what they was,
right.
but you're in the trenches
Yes, indeed.
on those committees.
And what I like is on the committees too, you're uber focused.
You'd have to be.
You don't have the broad array of everything that we need to take care of and conquer.
Right.
So I like the committees, and mine's always been fundraising, which I make fun of myself actually because I'm terrible at asking for money. I have no idea why I chose to be the executive director asking for money.
Right.
I'm awful at it. But when it comes down to it, I know the data and I know the need.
Yeah.
I think that made the biggest difference, being in the trenches all the time.
I have a feeling you've also learned you may be asking for something or money, but you're doing it in a respectable manner.
Yes, that's correct.
And that changes everything. And then that's across the board. That could be in business. If you're asking for something, even money, you've got to be respectful of who you're asking.
You're right. And what I'm glad you brought that up. It's a good segue because some of our newer board members have looked at the past 2 years, going from 15,000 to 100,000 and saying, what's changed?
That's a big jump.
It is. And
So what changed?
it was great. I was so pleased to be able to say they assumed we were asking for money to ask for money.
Right.
But we don't operate that way. I made the decision when I took over, we're only asking for what we need. It goes back to that respect thing. And I think it's important. Obviously, it's important, but
Sure.
some people ask for money just to get it.
Right,
And then
right.
they run with it and do something with it. We kind of work backwards. Again, poking holes, asking the hard questions. will this legitimately pan out to be successful and change lives?
Now, your goal is to provide literacy or literacy to adult literacy, right?
That's correct.
Hopefully they use whoever needs it. They get the education they need. They take it, they prosper, and they end up by doing better than you, hopefully.
That's correct. Now, that is ideal. What happens, it's really fun. Students, we are financial cheerleaders, so we are promoting and providing through our partner Lanier Tech adult literacy programs, English as a second language.
Lanier actually does the educating part.
That's correct.
Okay.
They
I think
are
that's
the
very
experts.
misunderstood, the relationships,
I agree.
where the lines are.
Yes, and it's very convoluted. Even myself speaking with municipalities and donors, it's very difficult. Recently, a new board member, Miss Kelly Dye, our new secretary, actually made an organizational chart for us.
Nice.
I know.
Probably needed it.
Yeah, we do. And
Yeah.
I think it helps clear up some of those boundaries. But our job is to find a gap. And it's really about workforce.
Okay.
It's
When you say gap, do you mean a need?
a need, thank you,
Okay,
or a
okay.
barrier.
Okay.
I think a barrier is another good
Preventing
way.
yeah.
Preventing barriers,
okay.
removing barriers.
Right.
Zell Miller, when it started, it was about immediately changing the illiteracy that we had. The rate was so extreme.
Right.
But it became also about workforce. What people walk in on Lanier Tech door, they see me and they say, I just want a diploma. I need a high school diploma. I didn't fit in high school. It was not right for me for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's fun because the joke's kind of on them secretly because they don't just get a diploma.
Right. I'm here to get my GED.
Yes.
David Butler, who is with Lanier.
Yes.
He was in here last month, and he said he didn't make a joke, but he kind of said, people show up and say, I'm here to get my GED. So, well, where would you like me to mail it to? But a little bit more to it than that. You don't just get your GED or any type of education.
Exactly. What I find fun is because of the generous organizations that believe in the CLCPs, we find the partner Lanier, the student walks in, I'm ready to get my GED. And what I find fun is by the time they leave that first orientation, they've already discussed short-term training. They've already
Nice.
discussed high-wage, high-demand jobs, staying in Jackson County. The chamber, Leadership Jackson, junior leadership, we're all about keeping the students here after they graduate.
Right, right.
So that's critical.
But to keep them, you have to have good jobs here.
Exactly.
That goes hand in hand.
It does. And for somebody that didn't really make it the first time or second time around in school,
Oh, sure.
it's fun to say, you're not just here for a diploma. You think you are. And we don't shove it down their throat, Tom, but when we start discussing scholarships through some of our community partners or, Northeast Georgia Regional Commission, applying for funding through them, supportive services. I like to use the phrase wraparound. So
I've heard that before.
yeah, I stole that from my friend Cassandra Hunter, who does Vista Point Health, and
Okay.
I loved it. I asked her, can I use that too? So because a CLCP must work with all community partners, I have a GED student who can't pass a test because it's on a computer, but they don't have glasses because they don't have money or health insurance. I know what community partner to go to.
Goes a little beyond just education.
Yes, sir. And it's fun. So they come in with just a GED in mind, which
Right.
is now called a high school equivalency. I'm trying to get used to that.
I had no idea.
Yes, I
I
don't
like
think it's going to
GED. It's
stick.
a lot better.
It is. I don't
Sorry.
think HSE is going to stick at all.
No one will have an idea what you're saying.
No. See, and they don't with CLCP, so why add another acronym that nobody knows?
I warned everyone there's going to be a lot of letters flying around. And folks, I did not lie to you.
Makes us
I was
sound
spot on.
so important. So I think they want a GED, Tom, but they end up getting, career advice. They get short-term training.
Maybe a little confidence worked in.
Yes, sir. Career
Maybe
coaching.
a lot of confidence.
Soft skills, yes. Medicines, mental health care, doctor visits, dental visits.
So you're slowly, maybe not slowly, but you're slowly building the community.
That's
You're
correct.
definitely strengthening it.
Indeed. these individuals, they don't know where to begin, right?
Lost within themselves, lost in the shuffle.
Yes,
And unfortunately, sometimes the shuffle just doesn't want to deal with them.
that's correct. And they just don't fit.
Right.
And this is where it gets a little hard. The crux of the situation is that we want to fix everything. I want to fix everything. I'll admit I should say that, but I think it's all of the teachers in general.
I bet it's most of them.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to have that heart for it.
Right.
And so I love that we need them to come in. That's the issue. So I don't love it. I need them to come in. We can't seem to get the several thousands of people who still need a diploma right at this moment. And I don't know what the issue is reaching them, if it's just a confidence thing.
Could be.
Many of our community partners try to give funding to help. We had one give me gas cards. So I got to buy several $1,000s worth of gas cards to celebrate, when you graduate. They had to drive around to, find a place to test and find transportation. So I got to give them gas cards. Just things like that, that maybe we reach whatever that barrier is that they're not telling us.
Right.
We're sort of guessing sometimes.
Well, you kind of have to.
So I think for us, just getting them in the door, then we can work with all other partners to really enhance and improve their lives.
I was going to ask you, why do we mess with the literacy thing? I mean, okay, someone can't necessarily, they're not educated, so I know the answer to that.
I know.
But I think honestly the workforce skills that's a relatively new program, part of it, isn't it?
Well, interestingly, workforce has been around forever, but it hasn't always been holding hands with adult education or literacy.
So now you can go from one to the other?
Yes. So
that's important.
Yeah, even a decade ago, you would get the diploma first, the GED.
Yeah, now what do you do?
Yes, then you would maybe go to Linear Tech transition. I think that's the other thing that helps. I was a transition advisor for Linear Tech.
Yeah.
So I learned about all of these short-term training programs.
You've really rolled up the sleeves.
I got it, every little part of it.
Hey, wear that like a badge.
Yes.
You've done the work.
Yes, and even the adult ed background. I've been an adult ed teacher since 1998, so I know every aspect. That's how it sort of fell into place for me.
Sounds like it. Stars aligned.
Yes.
Well, I want those listening to this to realize that you're not someone's cousin who needed a job or a fancy, I think you said, fancy title.
Yeah, I do.
You're not that person.
Yeah.
You've worked your tail. You've rolled up your sleeves. I've said that a bunch of times. Forgive me.
Oh.
But now you're in a higher up position, but you're still working hard, just in different ways.
Indeed, it takes a lot. What's interesting about our Jackson County CLCP is it did kind of stay static because we had such a big need for just GED for so long. So why change when it's a big need and we're changing lives? But I had a different background, as I mentioned, I think it was before we started this. I came from adult ed in a different area that had a lot more opportunities because the tax base and the income level of the people. So I knew what it could look like here. We just needed to find a way to piece it together. It's been a long process, and I do make fun of the title because it's a part-time position because we never had the money before to make it full-time. And you can't find a lot of people who can afford to be the executive director for Jackson CLCP.
Gotcha.
That's my fault. I prefer my teachers, our teachers, and our class aides to get more money. I think it's more important to pay a teacher than it is the executive director.
Wow, I don't hear many anybody say that very often.
I live by it.
Bless you for that.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's critical. It's so much more important if you can financially.
Sure.
Not everybody has that benefit.
I understand that. Believe me, I understand that.
But it has been my mission all along. My family, now he's my husband, my ex-husband, but he's still financially make sure we're okay.
Well, that's good.
And that is so that we can do the work that I believe in, which is this position. Teachers just don't get paid enough. Class aides don't get paid enough. Our
Right.
proctors driving all over. Who else do you know will pack up on a Saturday morning at 5:30 or 6 in the morning? Our proctors.
Now, what does a proctor do? Who is a
Ooh,
proctor?
good question.
I have no clue.
They are the people who have to be licensed to give GED exams online or tests.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it's very difficult.
They administer them.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And, students have to show ID. It has to be validated.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to have payment processing.
Right.
We have to prove that they don't have their phones. I mean, it's a big event,
Wow.
which I'm pleased about, but it takes training. And they don't get paid a great deal of money because there is no funding for proctors.
It's just not there.
It never has been in pretty much any state. So long story short, I write grants to find ways to make sure our proctors, they usually spend several hours at home for free inputting data before they go to a center. Now they go to JCCI, so that's our correctional institute in Jackson County. We work on the men's side, and these are people who, before they are getting released, we're working to get their diplomas and to get them into some kind of trade, welding, forklift, if, depends on their background,
Sure. Sure.
But you have people who are spending all their time at home on a weekend loading data, driving to JCCI. They're going to this facility that can be intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
They're working with people who are perceived criminals, if you will.
Well, yeah.
And they don't really get paid for most of that time because there's no funding. It's not that anybody's mean. It's not that the government doesn't want to appreciate these people. So I write the grants and I make sure that the proctors are paid at least what we can afford.
What you can give them.
Yes. And then I try to give them extra time if I can.
I got you.
Nobody wants to work for free.
So how do we attract more partners? Can we name some of the partners?
I'd love to do that.
Let's give them a shout out.
Yes, I really would. I'll tell you, Jackson County Commissioner's Office has changed our world.
Have they really?
They really have. The past couple years since I've been calling, again, it's fate. We got a grant from TCSG, Technical College System of Georgia. That doesn't happen a lot. It's their foundation, not the governing side.
Okay.
So it's separate. They get contributions from graduates or other organizations as well. I wrote a grant, and it was for summer proctoring because in the summer, nobody has money, including Linear Technical College, to really fund either money or a way because of the way our fiscal year, let's just say red tape. It's not anybody that wants to make it difficult. It just is what it is.
That's just the way it falls.
Yes.
That happens, yeah.
Our end of the fiscal year is summer, May and June. That's when we get most of our graduates. Not sure why. It just happens for a couple reasons. I do know why, but it's a long story.
Sure.
So
We'll do a second podcast.
all right, great. I appreciate that.
I'm serious.
So
You're always welcome. You know that.
I appreciate that. We have a lot more to say. Really, we do. It is convoluted. So I write this grant, and then I didn't exactly know it would take so long to get our money back. So I kept calling the commissioner's office, like, hey, you used to support us for a few years, and, it's called Contract for Services. We provide a community need. We provide a service to the community that the county doesn't do for themselves.
Gotcha.
So they kind of reimburse us,
So
if
they've
you
been
will.
huge. Who else has been huge?
Goodness, Southeast Toyota
Have they really?
distributors for decades have
Nice.
sponsored. Sometimes, Tom, I'll get an email. Amanda Patton is who I work with right now. And Cindy Patterson was on our board forever.
Okay.
When COVID hit, we kind of,
Everything went
everything.
haywire.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But
A year of our life we'll never get back.
Exactly. And 2021 took us a long time, too, in the education side.
Yeah.
So, but they just randomly will email me once in a while and say, hey, we have $2,000 or $2,500 left in our budget, and we'd love to know if you have a need.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
That's awesome.
Jackson EMC.
Jackson EMC.
Oh, my goodness.
Everybody's friend.
Big game changer for us. That's when we started. When I finally got the courage to write a grant, I'd never written a grant before. So I took a couple classes and decided to write one. And EMC Foundation started allowing us to pay for GED exams. I just noticed forever students saying, I can't pay $160.
David mentioned that. You can take the exam for your GED and not pay anything.
Here in Jackson
Game
County.
changer.
It is, and it's not every
Game changer.
county. Yep, and it's
Wow.
through, that one specifically started with EMC Foundation. So the CLCP can decide to write a grant for whatever that barrier or need is that we talked about. And I decided, let's do a test. What if we paid for that? The other part is, which I have to shout out to them again.
Please.
The foundation realized they're patient. I'm long-winded here, and they're good about waiting to see what happens. But the practice tests sound like a chunk, a little bit of change, right? $5 or whatever, $6 for students. But they have to take. I watched, and I came to the classrooms, and I watched what happened for over a year. They take about 24 practice tests.
Wow. $150.
Yes, in order to be a first-time passer.
How about that?
That's all it cost us. The same amount as the actual 4 tests to get their diploma. If we doubled that, they pass the first time they take it, which means they'll stay in the program and not quit from disappointment.
Gotcha. Wow. You got a lot going on, young lady.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else you really want to shout out to real quick?
There are so many. So let's
I know we're going to leave someone out, and we don't mean to.
I know. And I had
Then
that prepared.
Let's leave it with Jackson EMC.
All right.
Because we all know, everybody knows they're cool.
Oh, North Georgia Community Foundation. That was my other one.
That's your other one.
Yeah. So, and there are a few more that have helped us. So
Awesome.
don't forget the municipalities.
Sure.
So the county commissioners and the municipalities have established their role as saying, we don't provide this service in our municipality, therefore we will pay a little bit. Granted, it's not a great deal, but I think every dollar matters.
Oh, absolutely it does.
And it's so rewarding to go up to a mayor or, a county manager or city manager, and say, thank you.
Absolutely.
I met all of Brazelton at last month's Women in Business, all the staff, and not one of them realized that they're one of our biggest contributors for classroom books and materials, borrowing a location where we can teach in a central area. So municipalities, Jackson County commissioners, and then the foundations have been extremely supportive.
Awesome. Now, how does an everyday person like myself get involved? Can I get involved?
Yes.
I don't have millions of dollars.
Yes. Well, then...
If
we'll
so, we'd
try
be
to
back in
find.
South Florida on a yacht,
right?
enjoying
Exactly.
ourselves.
Pretending there's no problems in the world.
Exactly.
We have a couple different ways, and we are working this year really hard to change the lack of knowledge about getting involved. So Jackson County High School work-based learning students were kind enough to teach me, or actually set up on our website, something that works in other counties, and that is donate a GED. So on our website, organizations.
I was about to say, you have a website.
We do, yes.
What is that website?
www.jacksoncounyclcp.org.
Yes. JacksonCountyCLCP.org.
That's correct.
So people can get involved.
They can.
Just a regular everyday guy.
Yes, indeed. And organizations,
I was about to say,
companies.
and yes, your larger entities can as well.
Yeah, and that way they know. We found out from other CLCPs is this way they know where the money's going.
That's important.
I can guarantee that fund, whatever person donates, would be specifically for a GED. And then, of course, right now we're working on volunteers. So like tomorrow night, Good Friday, I go to Jefferson Civic Center, and I'll have a table with a volunteer sign-up sheet.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've got a couple ways. Volunteers
Boots
are a
on the
big
ground.
deal.
Can't beat boots on the ground.
Yes,
Now you're on Facebook?
that's correct.
Adult ed. Adulted. Wow.
Did I skip a letter?
Radio guys.
Okay.
Adult Ed Jackson 2018. That's
Yes,
Facebook?
that's correct.
Or just folks go to Facebook and you'll find them. And you're on Instagram as well.
Yes, and I finally did it the right way.
Jackson County Adult Ed 2018.
See, there's the reason social media is difficult is because, again, when I started the CLCP, I kind of meshed us with adult literacy, Linear Tech, Jackson County,
Right.
Adult Ed, and we were all one. But then later, when I went to do funding and ask questions and come to chamber meetings, what do you do? Well, we don't really do what we say we do. So that's where it got a little convoluted on social media. We find funds and coordinate resources to help local providers provide for a need.
Jackson County CLCP.org. Lisa, that wasn't hard at all, was it?
No, I could talk for hours.
That was 30 minutes.
Really?
It was, but it went really well.
It did. Thank you. I appreciate all the help with that.
We'll have you back in because I know there's so much more that we can talk about.
Really, there is.
Awesome.
I would love that.
Awesome. My music's somewhere. Oh, there it is. That means I got to go. Folks, another great episode of Northeast Georgia Business Radio. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Tom Sheldon. We'll talk to you soon.